And you only have 3?
We do have 3 at the moment only. We are working on the last 3. There will be an EP, which is called Arise. And it's the 3 songs are almost ready, but we are still working on them since everybody lives somewhere else. Mm-hmm. It's like we have most of the parts I'm working here, and then I send it out to the guitar player, and then he puts his idea in there, and then it's like a back and forth the whole time. Right now it is still a studio project because it's like brand new, and but we're working on it to go on the first show in 2024 actually.
Hey, don't tell me all that now.
Yeah, well, there is actually some bigger bands. I can't tell the name right now because we don't know with whom we will go and such, that are actually interested in having us as their, how you say?
Opener.
Yes, as their opener, right. And we will decide on that first. Like, we have a pool of musicians that we'll take for our music that we do. Like, the band is basically me and the drummer right now. And the pool of musicians, we know already who will play the show with us, but that is also a surprise. So since 2024 is a little bit farther, I thought the album would have been finished by the end of last year, but there have been a couple problems with a couple musicians, COVID and their jobs. A couple of them are full-time musicians. They live off of it. They're professionals. But some of them aren't, and they have like normal jobs. And they had trouble, so everything got pulled more in the background, and it took so long. And that is why we aren't finished yet. But it will be finished, and 2024 will be the first shows. That's what I can tell you.
Okay, that's the plan. How did you get started in the music business, and what were your main influences and your background?
Well, let me say it that way. My main influence is Steven Wilson's Porcupine Tree. Absolutely. I'm totally into that. It's like when the first time I listened to Porcupine Tree, I was like 14, I think. And I was like closing my eyes, and I was like falling into a dreamland, and it's like, this is it. It touches me in every part of my body. It's like, I don't know why, but that is like it. I can't explain it. It's like I've never had anything that touches me that much, And in that moment, I decided I want that too. So how it started? Yeah, well, I actually knew I always had to do with musicians, and I always been on tour with them. Like I started with like wrapping up cables and things like that, and then it started up like being the person who switches the instruments from band to band on stage and stuff like that. And I was like, I want to do this too. I want to make music, and I've always been playing around on acoustic guitar, it's like normal chords, and it didn't matter where I was like, hey, check this out, it's like A, B, C, D, E, it's like, well, this is cool, isn't it? And then I started singing, and everybody was like, what's she doing there? Since most of the people were like professional musicians, but some of them I met actually were really nice, and some of them came up to me and said like, if you really want that, you have to do it. If it's your dream, just do it. Don't care about what people think or what people say. Just do it, and it will go its way. And that's actually what I did. So I lived in America for like 2 years between Philly and New York. in the East. And I met a lot of musicians there too. And that's actually where I met Jensen, guitar. He's like a multi-instrumentalist. He plays guitars, keyboards, and bass. He basically can play everything. And he is doing like game music, like Nintendo and Sega, and he told me about that, but I actually forgot what it was. But he's really into that, and he's creating the sounds by himself. So the first song we had, Sincerity, the sounds that you hear in there, he made by himself completely, like and he was calling them like the Anatron and all of that. So he's really he's a crazy musician. The music that he does, he's a couple of other projects are like super crazy and spacey and out of this world. I'm sorry, there's somebody here right now that wants to say hello and is annoying behind the camera.
Hello.
So, yeah. Sorry, he was like, I was like, what is this? And he wanted to say hello. It's like, Mama, I need to say hello. Yeah, Jensen. And from there on, I've been like together with a couple other musicians. Like I've been on stage with Tiamat once, like growling, that was basically I tried everything. I've been with a couple different bands, like classic rock bands, or I had a gig with like a cover band and such. I started just like to try to sing. I had different projects. And from that point on, I was like, okay, I want to do my own music. Like I have a vision in my mind, in my head, where I'm like, I want to show people what I feel actually and how I see things and how I hear them. And I was like, there must be a way to do that. So I started learning everything by myself. It's like, how does Cubase work? How do you record? What do you need? And like how to play what instrument? And it's like how to like program things and stuff. And I was like, I do that. I go into that. I just do it. And then I started to look for musicians actually that would like to create something new, something that doesn't exist, like that has its own taste. And I started with a couple musicians, couple projects, but it always happened that they're like, it never got forward, they were like, there was always something. Either they were too busy with something else, or they're like, they played the same over and over. Like it seemed like they didn't want to develop or something like that, And it was actually a pain in the balls, I'm sorry, to make music. And I was like, what is this? What am I supposed to do now? Like, how can I reach my goal? And then I was like, okay, I go check out the internet. Let me see what I can find. And then I found this awesome guy, Chris, who was making all kinds of backing tracks and had other bands like post-rock bands and such. And he's also a producer for like 10 years. And I just wrote him a message. I put a medley with songs together that I did here in my home studio and sent it out to him. And I said, hey, look, what do you think? Like, I'd like to do kind of progressive rock, but in our own style, And he's like, oh, that sounds interesting. I like your voice. Let's do it. And that is how Platypus Planet came to life, actually. And we started working on a couple of songs, and then there was live, and it took time. And I was looking for more musicians because, like a band, when you go on stage, especially, you need musicians, and I want to have people that want to work together and that actually have fun doing it, that like grow like a family. That is actually something really hard to find. To find musicians that you can grow a family with is, oh my God, nowadays, especially, I don't like those type of musicians that are like, look, I can do this and I can do that, and I'm just the best in this, and you have to do this. And no, this is about communication. This is about, I don't like when people are in a band and they talk bad about each other. It's like, why would you do that? Then I stopped making music. I don't want anybody being in this band talking bad about anybody in this band. I want a family. That's what I want. Let me come back to where we were. So, then I remembered Jensen. And what I've seen in America, I've seen him live in like a bar. Since it was my first time in America, I was like pretty overwhelmed from all the impressions. Like, I mean, have you ever been to New York or Philly or something?
No, I've never been that side. I've been on the West Coast.
Oh, it's terrible. I'm sorry. I don't know at all. It's like the impressions of America I had is like palm trees and sun and happy people everywhere.
West Coast.
And I arrived in America and I was like, oh no, this is like dark and rainy and it's cold and it's like, where are the palm trees, And then we went into this bar and then there was this band playing, and I've seen Jensen. I was like, oh my God, that guy is good. Like, he's really good. And we came into a talk and we became friends. And then we didn't have contact for like almost, let me say, how long was it? Like 9 years, something like that. And then I wrote him a message and I was like, hey, Jensen, it's me, Anna, and I just started this new project, and would you like to be part of this? And he's like, send me something. And he said, yeah, I'd like to work on something with you. And that's when the first song actually was born with Jensen. And then we had Tamas, the guy who's playing the solo guitar. He is also a really good musician. He's a violin player in a symphonic orchestra, in a big one here in Germany. And he is also super crazy band projects. Like, one of them is called Capacia. You have to check it out. It's also proggy-like and rock-like. And he's a lot influenced by the 80s, like hair rock, it's like Dokken and all of that. He loves a lot. And he's a child of the 80s, basically. And Frank, our drummer, was playing in several projects, and he was jamming out, and that's where he met him, actually, on a jam session. And he was asking him if he wants to play a couple of gigs with him for a project. So that's how we found actually Tamas. And I sent him a message too, and I said, look, Tamas, what do you think? Do you think you could like kick in with a nice solo guitar there? And he's like, sure, I will. So that is how Tamas came into this project, And Frank, our drummer, it's like he is also influenced by the 80s and classic rock, Journey, and all of that 80s super music. And he had also a couple classic rock bands. Like, he was playing as a support from Fury in a Slaughterhouse back then in the 80s, actually. And help me out. The guy who made First Aid. I have a black hole right now. The
Bob
guy
Geldof. Bob Geldof.
Yes, that's where he played with back then in the days. And he's been playing in that project for like years. And since I took him, I said, like, you have to do this. You have to do this with me. It's like there's no other choice, you know? And that is when that happened. So all the musicians like Tamas and Jensen and Chris, for example, they come on and off, and there's a couple of other people that will show up in the next songs too, because I'm always looking for people that put their influence in there. You know, like I send the songs and I do not tell them what they have to do. I just tell them, look, I just want you in there. And whatever it is, it's fine. And this is how that music is happening. And that is what I love about it. That is why it makes it so unique. Because everybody has its own feeling, its own style, its own sound. And I just let everybody put it in there. And it stays there. And then we see, okay, how we can make it like something. And that's what I like about this a lot, you know, and there's no pressure on anybody. So you have to play this or try that, or sure, if there's something that anybody here really doesn't like, then we'll change it up. But most of the time that doesn't happen, you know. They all know what they're doing, and we all like what we're all doing, and that is how this is happening. Yeah.
But that is progressive rock in its essence. It is everyone putting in their bits and pieces.
Yeah.
That is progressive rock. It's not, here's a song that I've written. This is the melody. This is what's going to go in the background. This is your rhythm section. This is your guitar break. Package it, release it. That's not, that's other type of music. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not progressive. And I mean, progressive, that's how it got its name. It was progressive because it's always progressing. But one thing I did pick up, and interesting, you said that Jensen does games and everything. Who is the person who likes Pink Floyd in the band?
Me, the drummer. I think everybody. Is there anybody that doesn't like Pink Floyd?
Because there are distinct Pink Floyd influences in your music.
Pink Floyd, Supertramp. If I hear Supertramp, I lay on the ground and cry. It's just so good. Seriously. It's just, I mean, there's so many influences there. Like the drummer, Yes. He loves Yes. You know, like who doesn't love Yes?
Yeah.
And Tears for Fears and Pink Floyd. I grew up with Pink Floyd. My father has all the LPs from Pink Floyd, and everything I heard back then was my father playing Pink Floyd. Like I come from East Germany, you know, and we had like, you know, Trabi. Trabi. And you know, when you sit in and the streets are there with the concrete and then like concrete, and then they were like cut, and then there was the next, and then cut. You know, and when you drive over that with a Trabi, it was like the whole time, you know. And my father used to put like the cassettes in there with Pink Floyd, and you were sitting in the back, and my father was like, you know, that's what I remember is like Pink Floyd and the scenery around me, and then that nice feeling of that old car going. It's just unique. And then, you know, my influence especially was what will come up next, the next release. I don't know if you've heard it, but do you know City? It's an old East German band, City, and there's a song that's called Am Fenster. And you have to check this one out. City am Fenster. Check it out. And then listen to our latest release that will come out. You will find connection right there. And once you heard it, you understand what I mean. You know, this is just it. The mixture of progressive rock and this kind of emotional, classical type of feelings in there. It's just, you know, I have ideas in my head and feelings that I want to put out there that that people need to hear. You know, it's like when you hear a band or a musician that touches you, you want kind of people to know how you feel because it's so good. It gives you such a beautiful feeling and it makes you so happy, and you just want to hug the whole world and say, look, listen, everything is fine, you know? And I want to do that with my music. Sure, when you listen to the lyrics, it probably seems like it is something a little bit melancholic and depressing, but actually it is not. It is supposed to help the people out of the wrong side of the plate that they're looking at, you know? Like try to look at different sides of it, or even go out, you know? A little bit of philosophic kind of view of things. Did I say that right?
Mm.
Yeah.
How did the name Platypus Planet come? Unusual.
Well, it just happened. I was sitting around with Chris, and I was like, well, what name do we want to give this project? And as you know, like Porcupine Tree, it's like Porcupine Tree is also a crazy name. And Chris is like, I always wanted a band that's called Platypus Planet. And it was like, yeah, we take that. That's it. You know, that's it. Because it is just something I would know people would ask me about. Like, how did you get to that name? It's like, what's the meaning of it? So I was like, there's none. It just sounds cool, actually. That's it. Yeah.
And I was hoping that it would be something deep and meaningful here.
I'll find something, actually. Like I'm good at putting meanings into things.
I mean, you could put like the platypus is very rare species, and then go the whole save the planet, eco-friendly. I don't know.
Okay, so ask me the question again. Cut this one out. I can say that. It's actually not bad, though.
No.
No.
No, we'll stick with the truth. I'll say This is why it's not called Platypus Planet. There's no meaning behind it. It's just Platypus Planet.
It just sounds cool, doesn't it? I mean, it's just
but
cool.
I mean, there is a link. I mean, like you say, with porcupine tree.
Yes.
You know, what is a porcupine tree?
Yeah, what is a porcupine tree? Yeah.
There's another band in Wales who also got their name from porcupine tree, and you might want to check them out. They're called Puzzle Tree.
Oh, okay. I'll check them out. Yeah.
I featured them last year sometime, and I said as well, how did you get the name? And they just said, well, somebody was doing a crossword puzzle, and the other one said porcupine tree, and they said puzzle tree. Oh, that's cool.
That's actually cool. This is what makes life fun, exactly. Not everything needs to have a meaning, It's just fun. I like that.
I mean, I've produced bands and had one band I was working with. They didn't have a name, and I said, well, what's your, and they said, no, 30 milliliters. Like, that's ridiculous. So I said, well, and I don't know where I got it from. I said, why don't you call yourselves Cubic Inch?
Yeah.
And they said, no, that's really cool. And then I said, and then we were thinking, for the drummer on the bass drum, what kind of a logo should we have? And I said, just put an orange with Cubic Inch on it. And they said, but that doesn't make sense. And I said, that's the whole idea, because people remember something that doesn't make sense.
Yes.
And then we took it one stage further, and they used to go out on stage, and I'd say, right now, I said to one of the roadies, go and buy me 2 bags of oranges. And it became a feature of their show, is they go out on stage and then they throw oranges into the crowd.
That's actually cool. Yeah, not bad though.
Because you have to do something different. You have to be different.
Yes.
To stand out. Yes. Anyway.
Nowadays, especially, like it's pretty hard nowadays to get out there. There's so many good musicians out there and so many good bands, and it's like, why don't they have views? Why don't they have listens? Like, what's going on with you guys? Like, they're super awesome with all these internet platforms and everything. And what you have, it's like basically marketing anymore. And the people that have the money come further than the people that don't, This is how it works today. It's super difficult. And after everything that happened now in times with Amazon and Netflix, and the prices went up so much, try to get people out there, try to get people to go to concerts. So it's like, when you want to go to a concert over here, you have to pay, like, even for bands that aren't that well known, like $50, and most of the people don't have that much money that they can say, okay, I want to go there and I want to listen to them. No, they think about it and they're like, okay, that's the band I wanted to see, and I will maybe pay the money for that and go there. It's been pretty difficult to get out there and find support. Lots of them are bankrupt now because of what happened too. Like, they can't make parties or shows or anything where they have like independent bands. They need to get money in too to even do something. It's difficult.
Yeah, I mean, you've got merchandise which you can sell online, but yeah, like you say, it's very, very crowded. I've been doing the show now for 18 months. And when the stations asked me to do a show, I said, I don't know. And I said, I'll do it, but I'm going to just play progressive rock. And I will be playing bands like Rush. I will be playing Porcupine Tree. I will be playing all these weird bands, and it's going to be progressive rock. And then after now 18 months, I've got 200 bands on my books. And a lot of them are young bands, new bands that I've found online. And I was one of those skeptics, music is dead. Good music is dead. And then now I'm going, no, it's very, very much alive. And there is some absolutely great stuff out there. You've just got to find it. So now my show, it's just basically all unsigned bands. And we had a station meeting on Sunday. And I said, listen, I need like 3 hours or maybe 4 hours if I want to try and get through all the bands that I think I need to. So, it's quite sad in a way.
Yes.
Because, I sent out that newsletter. I've got features booked up until the end of April already.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, and I mean, Bulldogs Radio, we're starting up a new show. It's going to launch on the 1st of Feb. Mm-hmm. And it's just going to be purely dedicated to unsigned bands and unheard of bands. And then Rebel Rock are doing the same. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. And I said, then the station manager said, well, I don't know why we're doing that, because Kai's doing that already on his show. So,
It's just awesome what you're doing. Really.
I used to be in a band. I understand what it's like. I've had to sleep in the rehearsal studio for 3 months because I didn't have anywhere else, and the only place I had to sleep was the rehearsal studio and a mattress. So, been there, done it.
I know that feeling, though. I did that too.
Yeah, like you. Then I became a roadie, and then I ended up with my own music promotions company, and we used to do all the big acts that came to South Africa, and I lost a lot of money there. And then, yeah. Anyway, it's not about me. One of the things.
Interesting, though.
So yes, I understand that the music industry is exceptionally difficult, and if you can get a break, it just takes one small break, to get things going.
Yeah.
And hopefully I can do that. That's what I'm trying to do. So, one thing I like to do, it's a bit of a surprise.
Your favorite test or mine?
Your favorite test. My favorite test for you.
Okay, awesome.
It's 10 easy questions. Are you ready?
Right. I'm ready. Let's go. The potatoes. Moon is it? Porcupine tree. I'd say black, but since black ain't a color, I take red. Oh, Hitchhiker's Guide Through the Galaxy. My favorite song. My favorite song actually will come up. Platypus. My favorite actor is my son. And margaritas that you can only get in the US. You want to know what my favorite radio show is? That's a guy called the Iceberg, and the show is called From the Iceberg. Everybody has to turn that on next time they want to try to listen to a good radio show. This is it, From the Iceberg. That's goddamn sure.